Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
'Well, hello again. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of British Columbia. If you're listening to this show on the podcast, this is episode 235. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pander.
And unfortunately, Zachary Meisenheimer is sick tonight, so he isn't going to make it. Kind of spoils a couple of things that we had planned, but I'm pretty sure we'll get across that. We're going to have lots of Whitecaps chat. We're going to talk MLS. We're going to talk some darts as well. We're going to have a darts-themed show. Maybe not as dart-themed as I had hoped, because I was going to play darts in the studio with Zach, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you were going to incorporate it in the trivia, which is not going to happen as well.
No, but we'll get something going. But I'm going to keep a little bit of the darts theme. What we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of a darts theme because the 2018 PDC World Darts Championship kicked off on Thursday. That basically means I am glued to the computer for the next 2 weeks or so, watching 8 hours of darts a day.
I can imagine that, because I think it goes on for that long.
Yeah, I've signed up to DAZN as well, because my darts subscription was just ending.
It's a good deal.
I really recommend it. It's been fantastic. Watched the 49ers game today, been watching darts. And I like it because you don't have to watch it live. You can watch it all in catch-up. So that's all fantastic. But I thought I'd give us some darting nicknames, because there's some really good dart nicknames out there. For Zach, I thought a good name for him would be Zachary the Preacher Meisenheimer. Mm-hmm. Now, when I did play darts back in the day, I was known as the Tiger, and I even brought my darts along with me.
Oh.
Just showing them up to the microphone
here.
These
have a pouch and everything.
Yeah, the Glenrothes Tiger with my darts flights with tigers on it. We'll tweet out a picture of that. So I'm just going to be the Tiger because I mauled my opposition. That's why I went with that. For you, I thought the Panda.
Or a lot of people, because my last name is Pander, they thought that it was actually a T in there. So they had me as Panther.
There's some really good dart nicknames out there. Like some of my favourite, Mark Frost, he gets called Frosty the Throw Man.
Oh, that's not
he throws
bad.
darts. Alan Norris gets called Chuck because he chucks the darts, and Chuck Norris.
How about the guy with the mohawk that has the snake?
Peter Wright, Snakebite.
Peter Snake on the side, yeah.
Yeah. And my favourite nickname from years back, there's a Dutch player called Jan Dekker. Now, with darts, Dekker, you would think he would have gone with the nickname Double.
Yeah.
Jan Double Dekker. That's what he has now. But when he first started out, he went with the nickname of Mr. Coat. And he used to walk down with a big white coat on, a big duffel coat. Because his friends used to say when he bought it, "Oh, look, here comes Mr. Coat." So he took that as his nickname. Dutch humour, I guess.
I guess so, yeah.
No one finds the Dutch funny. Apart from when they missed the World Cup. That was kind of hilarious.
Well, I actually met somebody from the Netherlands today. Married into a distant part of the family, a cousin of ours. And so I can't say anything bad about the Dutch now.
Okay. Well, let's just say they've got good
But
humour.
he wasn't into soccer anyway, so he didn't care about the World Cup.
Oh.
No.
So what we're going to do, we've got some suggestions for later on the show. I'm throwing this out to everyone that's listening. If you're listening live, send us a tweet at AFTN Canada. What would be some good nicknames for some Whitecaps players? An example I'll just give you, Eric Hurtado. I'm going to go with Eric the Viking Hurtado.
Yeah.
Because Eric the Viking game and he was over in Norway. So we'll go with Eric the Viking Hurtado.
I when he first came on, I always thought that he played a little bit like the Hulk. So I was always like Hurtado's smash.
Oh,
like
yes.
yes.
I remember you saying that.
Because he was always like getting in there and just banging off people. So I always called him Hurtado's smash.
Of course, Giles Barnes gave him the nickname in pre-season of Muscle Hamster.
Oh?
So we could go with Eric Muscle Hamster Hurtado.
That's not bad either.
Another one I thought, Ali Ghazal the Pharaoh.
Yeah, obviously.
Because he's a king.
Makes sense.
King of our DM role. So if you've got any other suggestions for Whitecaps players' dart names or anyone connected with the Whitecaps, MLS, let's throw out any MLS players.
I don't know. It's Michael.
We've got a good one for Clint Dempsey coming up. So when we revisit this, we'll
I know a lot of people would like to nickname Carl Robinson Robbo out.
Yes. But it doesn't look like he's going anywhere.
No, he doesn't. Well, not if.
Or is he?
Gareth Bale or Aaron Ramsey.
Let's kick off our week in Whitecaps news with that then.
Yeah, that just came out a couple on the weekend, I think.
Yeah, it was in the Times as well. So it's not as if it's in some weird tabloid over in the UK just sensationalising things. But Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey. Aaron Ramsey is a player that is on base agency, so he knows Carl's brother very well, obviously. Yeah. But Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey pushing for Carl Robinson to be the new Whitecaps. No, not the new Whitecaps. Pushing for Carl Robinson to be the new Wales manager.
Yeah,
when he was a player, kind of coming towards the end of his time, he kind of provided a mentor role to a lot of these young guys coming through. And it looks like the players are really behind Robbo to be that. And Chris Coleman was a man manager. And Gary Speed, RIP, he was a similar kind of man manager as well. And the players, I think, respond to that. And for all Robbo's faults tactically and stuff, he does seem to have good relationship with the players.
Yeah.
Now, you're going to have folk that say,
there are
there's players that don't think that.
Yeah.
But if you're not playing or he's getting rid of you, you're going to have that kind of attitude.
Of course.
So
I guarantee you all those players, when they were playing or they were with the team, or they thought they had a future with the team, they were on Robbo's side and they thought he was the greatest manager ever.
Yeah, but Robbo seems to be in the frame still for the Wales job, and who knows, maybe going over at Christmas and New Year time to get some interviews done. He's in the mix.
He could be visiting his mother as well.
Oh, that's well. Yeah. Scouting.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting Scotty Arfield from Burnley.
No, possibly.
See if there's any East Fife players he wants to bring along.
Hopefully
not, because we're pretty crap at the moment, so I don't think that would be a good signing. But yeah, Robbo is in the mix with Tony Pulis.
Yeah.
Ryan Giggs, which I think would be a terrible appointment. He's not done anything to then manage a national team. And Craig Bellamy, who I also think would be a terrible appointment, but has been the favourite for a while.
But definitely no Englishman.
No.
The FA...
Has to be Welsh.
And he's being investigated. I was going to do the headlines. We'll talk about now. He's being investigated because he said no Englishmen allowed or whatever. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but they're investigating whether him saying that was discriminatory.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like... Scotland want Scottish managers, the English want English managers, the Welsh want Welsh managers.
No, but he was saying anybody but no English. I guess maybe he was mentioning that he was going to, Scottish, Irish is fine.
Yeah,
but
it's the old ABE campaign, anyone but England. I'm all for that. So Robbo, maybe he will be moving on, who knows? He's certainly continuing to build the Whitecaps team.
Yeah, two new additions.
Yeah. Meyer Bevan, who we've talked about for 2 months now, finally has signed a deal.
And it's added bonus, which I didn't know about, that he is going to be a domestic.
I didn't know that either. That really caught me by surprise.
Because even when in the summertime,
the weather is hot.
And when he was signed, everybody there were a couple people on Twitter. I'm failing to remember who said it. They were questioning why you're bringing an international player to the WFC2, but of course you have slots available for in WFC2. You might as well scout these guys and bring them over. But he is Canadian, so it's going to be fantastic. You don't have to waste an international spot.
Exactly.
For a depth striker, and he is a talented striker.
Yes, he's still only 20.
Yeah.
Folk have to remember that. So Robbo described him, he's still got a lot of development ahead, and he's 20. You would expect that,
but he's got the finishing, which is the hardest thing for strikers to get.
And he's been playing at a high level. He's been playing at international level.
Yeah.
And folks say, it's just New Zealand or it's New Zealand under-20s. It's still international football. Yeah. He's played on the world stage at the Under-20 World Cup.
And he scored a fantastic
goal, yeah. Now, when he was signed, a genuine question was posed to me. It wasn't someone trying to stir up why do the Whitecaps hate Canada stuff, but Meyer Bevan, Gloria Amanda. Why would you go for Meyer Bevan instead of Gloria Amanda? Does Meyer Bevan have more upside than Gloria does?
No, I think Bevan has, at this point, he has more pedigree. And he, like you said, the international thing, he's proved it at the lower international levels. He's definitely in view for the national team. I'm thinking probably a couple of years after this World Cup cycle, he'll probably be seeing more time there.
I mean, he's already made his senior debut.
Yeah, so I think it makes sense. Gloria Amanda, hopefully he was going to sign for Fresno.
He's not now though.
Yeah, so maybe he didn't like the deal, and maybe he didn't want to travel all the way to Fresno because obviously I think he's from Edmonton.
Yeah.
So that's even further south. Even though if you're in Edmonton, I'd rather live in Fresno if it's kind of warmer there.
I'd rather have the cold than the heat, but that's just me.
Oh, that's you. Yeah, of course. But Fresno, it's kind of like near San Francisco.
It gets into 40s though in the summer.
Yeah, that's hot.
So I mean, it gets really hot. But yeah, Gloria Amanda looks like he's going to go to college.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised to see him at UBC.
Yeah. And who knows? After that, maybe he does. They show something at UBC. He'll be signed to the Whitecaps.
He can leave. He can leave at any time and continue his degree and stuff as well.
Exactly. He can go down south. He can play in Fresno maybe in the summertime. He can go as a loanee or something. Come back.
I'm high on both the guys. Yeah. I really like Gloria Amanda, and I think Gloria Amanda in a pro environment will come on leaps and bounds. Yeah. But there's still time for him.
And there's an opportunity with TSS. He could play for TSS this
TSS are going to have an absolutely fantastic squad if they manage to get all these people. But I think Meyer Bevan right now is a good signing.
Yeah.
And don't be surprised to see him go and play games in Fresno. But equally, don't be surprised to see him on the bench if he has a good preseason as well.
Yeah.
But at the other end of the pitch, a man you recommended... Or you suggested.
I suggested.
Maybe not recommended, but you did mention the Whitecaps could sign him last week when you had a look at who was available.
Because I was looking at cheap backup goalkeeper options that are domestic.
Yeah, I thought maybe Tyler Derrick, but...
And you had mentioned Josh Sanders too.
Yeah, Josh Saunders
sorry.
Yeah.
I thought Brian Rowe would be a good option. He obviously last year nobody had a good season in LA. It was, but I don't think he even was the starter. He lost the starting spot to Diop or something like that.
He lost it towards the end. Yeah. His last start was August 12th.
Yeah.
He then had a couple of
was it Clement Diop or something like that, the starter?
I think it might have been.
Yeah. And then so he obviously lost the starting, but the year before when LA was playing good, the Bears in front of him were playing good. They had decent defenders. He put up a pretty decent record, a winning record. I think his goals against average was just maybe a bit over 1. And he started 3 playoff games too. And obviously Stuart Kerr, in the article that was written about him, he's got experience with him because he came on to TFC when they needed an emergency goalkeeper.
Yeah, so he's worked with him.
Yeah.
And folk have to remember, because folk are like, oh, Brian Rowe, why are we signing him? And Zach last week didn't really want Brian Rowe here. He was like, no.
He was violently opposed to it.
He's had 6 seasons in the league.
Maybe that's why he's sick right now, because Brian Rowe was like...
So... lots of MLS experience. He's kept 16 clean sheets in that time as well.
Yeah.
All we had to give up for it was a second-round draft pick.
Which our second-round draft picks seem to disappear.
Yeah. We don't have a USL team, so it doesn't particularly matter now.
And they disappear, too, because I think the last second-round pick, didn't he disappear?
Well, Francis de Vries was the second-round pick.
Maybe it was the third-round pick or something. He's gone back to New Zealand.
Yeah. But, I mean, Brian Rowe, a capable backup, because that's what you need.
Yeah.
Marinovic is going to be the number 1. But there's going to be times where... maybe he's going to be away with New Zealand. Maybe he's going to get injured. Maybe he's going to get sent off, or he's just out of form. So he wants someone that you can rely upon to then bring in. Brian Rowe's that guy.
At this point, he is not better than Richie. I would rather have Richie here.
Yeah, I would.
But Richie, I'd rather have Richie have playing time.
He has to play.
But Brian Rowe is a better option than last year's backup, which is Paulo Tarnagi.
Definitely.
So no doubt about that. And so I think that it was a good signing and a good pickup.
Yeah,
they didn't want to risk. They were going to pick him up in the re-entry draft, but they didn't want to risk somebody else picking him. So they sent the second rounder, and that's basically nothing.
Yeah.
So maybe $20,000 in allocation money if you want to put it in money terms.
And it's been a quiet week really for the Whitecaps.
For the drafts.
Yeah, well, the drafts.
I was surprised. I
they're
thought
a waste of time. It's like, just get rid of them.
I thought there was some decent players in there if they wanted to pick them. But I agree with you there that it's just let the players just pick whoever they want to go to.
Yeah, I mean,
you already got a cap.
Yeah.
People are not going to be overpaying anybody at this point. So it's not like you're already hounding the players on their salaries and everything. I guess maybe it's an advantage for some players because if somebody wants to take that player at that higher salary, they don't have to renegotiate. They just keep that money that they were already going to be paid. So
yeah,
so maybe that's an advantage there.
Well, we didn't lose any players.
There's definitely one player that we'll talk about later that really didn't find any advantage in the re-entry drafts.
So we didn't lose anyone in the expansion draft, which was fairly unexciting.
I didn't expect them to lose anybody.
I didn't either.
And the players they picked were...
It was bizarre picks.
Yeah, well, they were building their depth. I don't think they were looking to get starters out of it. Well, they
sexy.
They packaged 2 players to get a starter.
Well, true.
Which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
MLS news.
The waiver draft and re-entry draft, we passed. It's like
only I think 1 or 2 players in each of them.
There's 2 players picked in the re-entry. I can't remember.
I think waiver there was 1, maybe 2.
I think there was just 1,
maybe 2. Yeah,
definitely 2 in the re-entry. Yeah. But Tyrone Mears went in the re-entry. I do like him as a kind of capable backup, but that might just be because he played for West Ham. I don't know. So we didn't lose anyone there. Second round of that's coming up next week, so who knows if they can renegotiate some deals if they want anyone from that. Final bit of Whitecaps news, which we'll touch upon this week. Alphonso Davies. Let's start with the positive for Alphonso. He was named the Canadian Under-17 Player of the Year, which is an award which we've kind of dominated over the years. Russell Tybert's won it, Bryce Alderson's won it. Fonzie now.
Yeah.
You have to say...
Carducci too, I think.
Oh, Carducci, yeah. It's probably deserved.
It has to be. If he was named the young player of the tournament for the Gold Cup, he's going to get definite consideration for U17.
Yeah.
There's no other U17 player that's doing that right now at this point.
But he is not going to Man United.
Yeah. Which one thing I'm surprised about. The news was that apparently that he was going to be training with the youth team, which a lot of people were going, why is he training with the youth team? He should be training with the first team. No, that's usually where they put young players. They train with the youth team to see if they're good enough to keep moving on. Maybe he was going to play with the reserves. I don't know. But there was no way he was going to be training with the first team.
No.
So I don't know why people were surprised about that.
Well, the whole thing with this Alphonso thing, Adam Cook from CTV in Edmonton kind of broke the story. And one of the things was that he was going for not a trial but a training stint.
Yeah.
Then it kind of has transpired that it was his agent that had arranged that. It wasn't the Whitecaps that had arranged it.
Okay.
And Carl Robinson during the week on radio had said, look, don't believe everything that you hear or read. And then that proved to be true because he is no longer going over there. Instead, he's going to be away with the Canada camp, which for me makes a lot more sense. And the official Whitecaps release to Adam Cook said that they just felt that at this time it wasn't the best thing for Alphonso's development.
Yeah.
So I've got a little bit more to kind of reveal about that. The basic feeling within the Whitecaps, Robbo, is that he didn't have a strong end to the year.
Yeah.
And his confidence isn't in a great place just now. So going over there when he's maybe not in his best form was likely to be more damaging to his confidence than being a boost to his development.
He'll be training with arguably one of the better youth.
Well, I think it was under 23 he was going to train with, so there's some really good players.
There are some very good players. It's one of the top. It's basically the reserve team. The 23. So it's one of the top teams. Like they have a lot of good players. They just signed another guy, Angel Gomez, who's a 17-year-old as well. He made his debut last year at the end of the year with the first team. So he's one of the top players. People are thinking he was going to go to skip Manchester United and sign with Juventus like Pogba did, or Real Madrid or Barcelona. So he was rumored to be going somewhere else, but they were able to sign him for them. So that's the quality that they have. And you don't want to put a guy who's, like you said, he basically wore down. He's a young player who he played a lot of football in the last couple of years, and you could tell by the time the Gold Cup was finished, and he came back. He had a couple moments, but he was really they didn't even want to put him in initially after the Gold Cup because they thought he was just exhausted. He might have been physically exhausted. He might have been mentally exhausted at that point.
He had a couple of good moves, good chances, but he's looked a shadow of himself in the tail end of the season. Obviously, when it was announced the Whitecaps weren't sending him over, folk were up in arms about it, criticising the Whitecaps front office. I genuinely think it's the best thing for him. Sending him over there is likely, if he's not at the top of his game, to do more bad for his confidence than help his development. So I think it's better that he stays here, goes with Canada, has the pre-season camp with the Whitecaps, doesn't get too big-headed or too big down. I think it's a good thing. But it has to be said, 2018 is a massive year for him.
Yeah.
I don't think 2017 saw him really develop the way that folk were expecting. And to me, he looks good and he looks better than a lot of other kids out there. I genuinely don't think right now, to me, he doesn't seem super special, a world beater. He's 17 now. In a year's time, he's going to be 18. If he has not had a great 2018, he's just going to be another talented 18-year-old. And they're kind of 10 a penny over in Europe.
Yeah.
A lot of folk won't follow the Scottish game. Hearts today had a 16-year-old playing for them, Harry Cochrane. Scored a goal against Celtic. Helped Hearts end Celtic's big 69 game unbeaten run.
Yeah.
He's doing that. I know it's Premier League, but Premier League in Scotland, MLS, there's not a great difference, honestly, between the two at the top end of it. And he's 16.
Yeah.
So there's talented players all over
that
are
are
performing. Fonzie still hasn't got his first MLS goal.
Yeah.
He drifts in and out of games. He is a talent. I'm not saying he's not a talent. I just don't think he's possibly this world beater that everyone thinks he is right now.
I don't even think he's a world beater. I think he's a high-end talent at this point. I don't think he's going to be and
he needs to develop.
I don't think he's a golden special, one of those once-in-a-generational talents.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think he is for Canada. In Canada's sense, he is, because we haven't had.
I think that's where people get a little bit blinkered.
You have to realize that there are way more talented players than Alphonso Davies in Europe, in South America, and maybe even America, that are developing right now. You can speak about him in those terms, but don't expect him to get to the level, but realize that there's a lot more talent out there. I 100% agree with you there.
And I think folk build him up so much here that it's hard then to see him getting a little bit of a knockback. But how does he develop then if he doesn't play? So there's weighing all that up. And we're going to be talking to Robbo soon for our usual end of the year chat. So these are some of the things we're going to talk to Robbo about. Some other big news in MLS this week, some of them with former Whitecaps. Kekuta Mane looks like he's going to land somewhere in MLS. So
he had a trial.
The trade that keeps giving.
He had a trial. But a lot of people, I think somebody especially tweeted out that even though he's trialing, there's a very good chance that he'll return.
Yeah,
for
Christian
one more
Dyer
year.
from Metro in New York.
Yeah.
Looks like he's going to come back to MLS.
And maybe not Columbus. He might be going somewhere else.
Yeah. I don't think it'll well be Columbus. I think
I think that maybe I'm not sure what the part of the, because if Columbus re-signed him, they were going to get a first round draft pick.
Yeah.
But if it's somebody else, will they still get something for him?
One trade which we didn't really mention last week when we were rounding things up was Darren Mattocks has left Portland to go to DC. Finally at DC. And I say finally at DC because I don't think we ever talked about this at the time. But the Whitecaps had an offer from DC back in 2013.
Yeah, it was $1 million offer.
Yeah, because Darren Mattocks talked about how there was $1 million bid coming for him. And folk were like, oh, he's like pie in the sky. There kind of was $1 million bid.
If you calculate the what was coming back.
Because DC offered the Whitecaps Perry Kitchen and Dwayne De Rosario for Darren Mattocks.
Which I think if you either add their value or their salary or something,
it was about $1 million.
Yeah, exactly.
And Martin Rennie was keen for it.
Yeah.
Took it to the football death panel and they said no.
Yeah, because I think the De Rosario part they didn't want.
I think the feeling was they didn't really think he was going to fit in. So he's finally in DC. So wish him well. Talking of players that's leaving Portland, Darlington Nagby
Yeah, that was
to
surprise.
Atlanta.
I didn't see that coming.
No,
last
and
week.
what has the potential to be the biggest trade, beating the Dwyer
By half,
SKC
50,000.
Yeah,
It's not that big of a
still
deal.
beating it.
And not yet even. It's
No.
there's incentives to go
Yes,
with that. Yeah.
650 in GAM has gone already.
Yeah.
300 in TAM has gone already.
International spot.
International spot, and another possible 600,000 in TAM.
Yeah.
If certain targets are met, goals and stuff like that.
So if you think of that, that's 1.65.
Yes.
But if you think of international spot, that's worth maybe 100. So let's calculate the 1.75.
Massive trade though.
Yeah.
I mean, he wanted more to stay in Portland. He wanted $1 million salary.
But they had
Portland balked at that.
They had Diego Valeri, they had Addy as DPs.
But he's a talent.
And
We
he
could have had
scores.
him here, of course, but
he's-
we went with Omar Salgado. But
Well, they believed the rumors that he didn't want to be here. Yeah, he scored some crazy goals.
yeah,
Um,
he's done well against us.
Yeah. So maybe it's a good thing, a good trade for us then.
Yeah. Atlanta, though, building a fantastic team. We talked last week about how much Atlanta impressed me as an expansion team. They've been fantastic.
Yeah, and I think this also opens up, the offers they had for $20 million from somebody for I can't remember which one. Was it Martinez or the other one?
I was getting mixed up.
Yeah, but so somebody was offering $20 million for him last year. Maybe they take that offer when the transfer window opens because they got Nagby as the player to play in that position. So maybe that opens up but if they're looking to win everything, then they keep everybody for this year and try to win the cup.
Yeah. Now, I've saved the two juiciest MLS stories to the end of this section.
Yeah.
Let's
Involve
start.
teams from opposite. Well, no, Ulster's not longer a Whitecap, so it doesn't really involve the Whitecaps.
Yeah, I still think of him as a Whitecap.
But this really is a blight on Ulster's situation. Is a blight on MLS.
Yes. So let's look at that. David, the blacklisted Ousted, that could be his darting nickname. But obviously his darting nickname would be the Great Dane. And he could come out riding a Great Dane to the stage. Maybe a really good. But yeah, David Ousted. Not happy because 3 teams were interested in signing him. But because of what his salary was going to be, it was going to be just over $500,000 in his option year, which we had talked about his salary was going up. They weren't allowed to buy him down with TAM, so he couldn't be a TAM player. So LA Galaxy really wanted to bring him in. That wasn't going to happen. So he just feels that MLS rules are ridiculous, and they are.
They are. I don't think I don't understand why they have a minimum salary to buy somebody down. If they want to use TAM to buy somebody down from 480 to 380, they should be able to, or whatever the case is. Like, whatever they want to buy somebody down to open up more space. I thought that was the whole point of this, but apparently this is a special amount of money that they can only use on a certain amount of salary.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
But he took himself out of the re-entry draft. I fully expect to see him in LA. They'll manage to work some weird thing out.
Yeah.
You know it's going to happen. And the last thing we'll talk about, another shocking situation to me. Laurent Simon.
Yeah.
Traded to LAFC from Montreal Impact.
For a couple fullbacks.
Having moved to Montreal for care of his autistic daughter.
Yeah.
His agent was very vocal saying he didn't know anything about it. Later on in the week, word came out that they had kind of talked to him about it and they're going to do everything they can to make his family and his daughter's life as comfortable as possible in LA.
Yeah.
Which hopefully they will.
Yeah.
But I mean, knowing what healthcare and stuff's like down in the States, it's just a horrible situation. And this is the thing. The players and the players' union negotiated for the new contracts and all that stuff and the bargaining.
Yeah.
Why did they not just look, mass free agency, you can sign for whoever you want, push hard for it, or at least give the players a right to say no to a trade, like elsewhere in the world, because it's ridiculous.
Like, honestly, they could have. It's the agent that's complaining about this. This is the agent's fault for not putting this into the contract when you negotiated when they moved from Belgium.
Would he have been allowed to, though? That's the thing.
Well, then he doesn't come over. He stays in Belgium. Then at that point, maybe he decides not to come over. Like, look at Alan Rochat back in, I know I don't want to go back all the way to 2012. He didn't want to be traded to DC. No. He spent maybe 2 or 3 months there, and he went back to Switzerland because he didn't want to be. But Rochat, I think he didn't have an agent. I think he negotiated the deal himself. But this guy had an agent, and this agent did not do the proper dealing. And
the Uster and Simon situations, it just shows how badly, again, players are treated in the league.
Ousted situation I have issues with. The Simon situation, while I feel for him, and Montreal should have done more for him, I think that the player needs to get more educated before they come here. Either be told what the situation.
It's the problem with European players coming over.
You need to Google and see if there's something going on. Maybe Google pregnant wife being traded or something like that.
You'll see a big list of them.
Yeah, exactly. So you gotta figure this out. You gotta do the research before you come to a new league.
It's a shame Zach's not on the show to talk about this, actually. Although we'd probably add an extra half hour to this segment. With Zach talking about that. But it's ridiculous. The league needs to look after their players better. In this day and age where there's no loyalty from players to clubs, in MLS, no wonder, because the league do not show any loyalty or any respect to the players, and it has to change. If this league wants to be taken seriously, that needs to happen. But that is it for this part of the show. We'll be back with more chat after this.
Hi, I'm Carl Robinson. You're listening to the AFTN podcast.
So just to go over some tweets quickly that we've had in. Murray D. Lynn on Twitter says, "Why do the Whitecaps hate the ball so much? This is the only thing that can explain picking up Channy's option and not Igibor's. They must hate the ball. Is the goal for 15% possession stats and then launch it over the top to big, tall strikers?"
Yeah,
I think it is.
Channy could be also trade bait for later on. He might have value, so they don't want to just give him away.
Well, let's talk a little bit quickly about Nosa Igibor.
Yeah.
Now, Nigerian paper had said he's been released by the Whitecaps, blah, blah, blah. I just think they're a little bit late to the story that we didn't pick up his option.
Yeah.
So I think that's all it is. It might be wrong. I mean, it might be that they've completely stopped negotiating.
Maybe that's the case, but Robbo did say when he was, they didn't pick up his option that they wanted to bring him back.
It's a very strange situation, though. I mean, why would you bring him in? I mean, we talked about it before, and you thought they wanted to up his deal, but
I think it was.
If they do cut him, it's bizarre.
I think they brought him in because maybe they saw him available, and he maybe was the same time when Lava went down with an injury, and they brought him in, and they go, okay, we'll sign you for the remainder of the season. We'll give you a couple option years. And if you will like it, maybe it was a mutual thing too. Who knows? I don't know.
Maybe they did want to go back to Europe. Murray also says maybe Bobby or Bobo Lenarduzzi is sharing old game tape from when he coached the Canadian men's national team, giving Robbo inspiration from that. I didn't watch any of the games back then, so I'm assuming they weren't good. But who knows? El Canico wants to know if there's any word on Mexican player signings from the 3 clubs that Robbo scouted, who he believes were Monterrey, Tigres and Santos Laguna. Haven't heard anything, actually, about that. It looks like Fidel Martinez, who was a name that Glass City was throwing around. It looks like he's staying with Atlas, or there hasn't been any good sort of offers from MLS to bring him here.
And we don't know because these could be players that they're going to be bringing in the summer as well, because he did say that some players will be coming in the summer, not right away.
Well, yeah, we kind of have to wait to see what happens there. It's strange to really know. Caleb Wilkins wants to know if there's any plans to buy down Breck Shea and Kai Kamara, or if they plan to go into the season with them as DPs. That's certainly something that we'll ask Robbo, because it's...
Yeah, I think they will go in because, like I said, I don't think they're bringing in 3 new DPs. Oh, well, they did with Kai Kamara, obviously. That's one new one. But I'm talking about outside the league until the summer. So I think they will go in with them. That maybe they buy him down, and remember, halfway through the season it doesn't count against your cap as much because you're bringing him halfway through the year, so you save money that way.
I definitely think Kamara will be a DP. I don't see any way around him not doing that, but I don't know. It's MLS, weird things happen.
And like we said, Shea could be a tradable asset as well. That's why he was exposed in the expansion draft. Remember that? So obviously that was because they probably knew LA didn't want to pick anybody that expensive.
True. The last tweet from Greg Petrie at Our Dumb World, who says, "Of course Manny won't be going back to Columbus. Neither are the crew."
Well, for one more year at least.
So yeah, anything you want us to chat about, send us a tweet at AFTN Canada. And remember, we are looking for your dart player names for Whitecaps. We've got a lot of good suggestions. We're going to go over that in part 3. But for now, in this part, we are going to continue our Whitecaps year in review with the month of July.
Thought I was the only one, but that was just a lie, 'cause you put it in the wind, and I saw it in the sky, and I thought it was
Soundgarden there on 4th of July, kicking off the month of July. Whitecaps didn't really play on the 4th of July. We played July 1st. We started the month. It was an up and down month, let's be honest. And we kicked it off on July 1st. Not on a home game for Canada Day, which you would have hoped they would have had.
They've never had it. They've never had it yet.
We did play TFC, of course, in the Voyagers Cup one year.
Yeah.
But pre-MLS days. That's probably how. Because the CSA got to organise that. But, yeah, July 1st. Didn't start the month off great. 4-0 hammering by Chicago.
And everybody was jumping off the boat at that point. It was
3-0 down at half-time. I think the least said about that match, the better. But I was quite down after it, I've got to say.
I remember that.
Yeah, because I was thinking, what's the point?
And then you guys were like worried about next week, and I think I got that one right.
Yeah. Well, there's a famous Whitecaps summer slump, and it didn't happen this year. It was very up and down.
They were up and down, They never really dropped. They never really got that high either.
But they did return home from Chicago 4 days later to beat New York City FC 3-2. Cracking game. We voted it our match of the year when we did our thing with
got the majority
was
for
here
sure,
and Joe Deasy was here. So that just got the majority. But it was a cracking game. I mean, Freddie Montero fired the Caps into a 3rd-minute lead. NYC stormed back, 2 goals in a 6-minute spell just before half-time. And you thought, well, I thought, being Mr. Pessimist,
it was over.
#Pessimist Union, that it was over,
But then the goal machine showed up.
Oh, yes. Jordan Goal Machine Harvey, I think would have been his darting nickname. And he tied it up in the 54th. And it was back and forward after that. And it was a really enjoyable game. And then, on his home debut, Jordi Reyna, good old Jordi boy, popped up, acrobatic header, 3-2, 3 points. BC Place went wild.
Yeah, no, it was a fantastic goal. I can't remember who sent in the cross, but it was a good cross. And he, like you said, he got up in the air. I don't know how high it was, but he definitely showed a lot of power in the header. And he put it right through. And just the noise that came from the crowd at that point. And it was magnificent. I think, was that his first goal, or I can't remember now. That was his first goal. So it was the start of a run of game-winning goals for him too.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. He up until towards the end, he only scored game-winning goals, which was great to see. But then you've got all that momentum. You've beaten a star-studded NYC team, and then there's a 2-week break for the Gold Cup,
which Canadian fans enjoyed.
But during that 2-week Gold Cup break, the Caps were busy. They loaned out Kyle Gregg to FC Cincinnati. They sold Sam DeWitt to FC Cincinnati. And they loaned Debbie Flores.
Once again.
Which, of course, when the draft time comes around every December, it reminds us that Debbie Flores is still a Whitecaps player. Because I think most of us forget that.
Yeah.
He's away back to Honduras. We said goodbye, though, to Paolo Ternaghi. We mentioned him in the first part. And then a few days later, after we'd play the next game, but we'll cover this now because it ties in, Paolo left. So goodbye in Italian. Hello, Stefan Marinovic.
Yeah.
And when Paolo went, you knew that there's something in the works. You knew that there was going to be, because Spencer Ritchie was on a season-long loan to USL.
Yeah, but they could have cancelled that if they wanted to.
Have,
but yeah,
I thought.
But I do agree with you. They seemed like something was going on at that point.
And Robo City pulled the trigger because there was a lot of interest from other clubs, and he wanted to make sure he got him. Stuart Kerr, when we spoke to him on the show, said that he's a great talent.
Yeah.
Folk were like, oh, that's definitely the end for David Ousted by that time. And we had heard in the summer, and we talked about it on the show, that it looked like Ousted was going to be on his way out because we'd been told he'd been asked to take a pay cut, which he, of course, confirmed himself later on after the season finished. But Marinovic came. It's his jersey to lose now. He is the number one. Unless Brian Rowe seems to come in and have a fantastic pre-season and Stefan looks sluggish.
I don't see that happening.
I can't see it either.
No.
Stefan's the man to lead the team going forward.
Yeah.
Of course, who knows? He could be fantastic here and then get interest from Europe or
it's possible.
Something.
It's possible if he shows, because he's going to have more, because he was stuck in the lower German leagues or mid-German leagues.
Fourth division, promoted to the third division.
You don't get that much exposure. Obviously, he was doing the thing where he wanted to show that he could do it in the Europe. He was trying to work his way up, and obviously this opportunity came for North America, and now he gets more exposure because he's going to be on regular television and people can see his highlights if they need to, and all the saves he made. And he made quite a few saves this year.
I mean, he's a great keeper. I like him. He's a great guy to chat to. He's got such a personality. If you've heard some of the stuff he's done for the show, you'll have heard that. It was sad to see Usted move on. We don't know exactly what Marinovic's salary is going to be for the year, but it's probably going to be about half of what Usted was on. And I think we've got two good keepers now. But Marinovic, great addition.
Yeah, for sure.
Then we go back to action. Returned with a rarity for the Whitecaps, a win in LA. And it was a 1-0 win.
It was a Chani goal from a header.
Yep, from a bowler free kick.
Yeah, and I think it was... I know you want to say it's a rarity, but I think that the fact that LA had such a poor home record, it wasn't.
Well, that's the thing.
It wasn't a huge accomplishment by the Whitecaps.
No, the Galaxy of old.
Yes, exactly. So while it was a huge win for them at that point because it continued their hot streak. Because when they come back from 2 week long breaks, for example, they're not the most exciting team, and they seem to always get a little sluggish.
Yeah.
But this was a good win. It wasn't a great game, but it was a good win.
And let's quickly talk about LA. I mean, they were dreadful this year.
And it's not a good year to be dreadful when you got the LAFC coming in the next year.
And the West was dreadful this year. But I mean, they were poor. But with the players they had, they really shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
It was not a poor squad that they had.
They got rid of their coach, I think, halfway through.
Yeah,
and then they bring
he
in
seemed
Siggy.
a really bad appointment, though.
Yeah.
Kurt Onalfo, I mean, he was one of the grumpiest coaches we've ever seen at BC Place.
For sure.
That was the wrong appointment. There was just no way they could turn it around after that. But I just cannot believe how bad they were. And it is going to be interesting to see how they respond this year. You have to feel that the pressure that's going to be coming from LAFC coming in, it's going to be massive. And if the Galaxy respond the way that we expect them to respond, then that's another team that could be in the playoff mix or should be in the playoff mix, making it tougher for the Whitecaps. But the Caps followed up that 1-0 win at LA with a loss. So from the high of a win in LA to a 2-1 loss in Portland. Always sad to lose any Cascadian derby, but it was just a terrible year for Cascadian derbies. Timbers up in the 14th minute. Andrew Jacobson then made it 1-0 in the stroke of half time. But then all that good was undone just 4 minutes into the second half when Blanco put the Timbers 2-1 in the lead. And the Caps had their chances to take a point from it. And they had a great chance as well with games in hand over the Timbers to kind of cement something really good. And very, very disappointing game.
Yeah, this is another game that, you look back and you woulda, coulda, shoulda. And obviously if they had drawn that game, they get top spot. And so it's amazing that the amount of games that where you see those points just and you think, oh, no big deal, they'll make it up. But, you lose those points and you really can't make them up down the road.
I had a nice trip down the coast, of course.
Sure you did.
I
It
was
never
happy.
fails.
Yeah, looking forward to the schedule coming out so I can plan next year's trips. Then there was a couple of loan deals. Sam Adekugbe
Reloaned to Europe.
back to Europe, off to Sweden this time. IFK Göteborg.
Yeah. He got over his injury, got healthy, got loaned out.
We still don't know what's happening.
Got injured again.
Yeah. Still don't know what's going to happen with him.
Yeah.
New coach is going to make that decision. Right now, he's a Whitecap, so we might see him back in pre-season. He's going to go back to Europe. And we've discussed this ad nauseum. It's like, why don't the Whitecaps play him? Why doesn't he want to stay here? He doesn't want to be here. He wants to be in Europe. Unless he has an amazing change of heart over the Christmas period, maybe he's going to listen to our Christmas special and think, I want to be part of that next year. Then he's going to go back to Europe.
I think a lot of these guys, they just want to try. They don't want to be regretful of what could have been. They want to go to Europe. They want to see if they can make it.
And he's been at a good level as well.
Yeah.
It's not that he's floating around the fourth tier of Germany or something.
So he's trying to see what he can do. If it doesn't work out for him, he can come back to Canada maybe at age 28, 29, when he's in his prime actually at that point, and he can actually make a huge difference for Whitecaps or whoever else he comes to.
I wish him well wherever he ends up, and I hope he gets a good thing in Europe, and he might end up back in Sweden, who knows. But the other loan deal, Ben McKendry of FC Edmonton, sent there to get
playing
challenged,
time, minutes.
did well.
Yeah.
Good feedback on him. Has now been released by the Whitecaps, kind of been replaced by the newer, younger model in David Norman. FC Edmonton, of course, no more. So the big question now is what happens to Ben McKendry? He was available in the re-entry draft. No one picked him up. Can't really see him going in the second round. Although he would count as a domestic because he came through the Whitecaps residency. So
I see
that
him,
might go in his favour.
I see him being picked up by somebody, definitely for training camp. And if he doesn't make MLS, then it could be he's going to find a USL for a year or two. Maybe one of the top teams. Maybe Allen brings him over to Cincinnati.
I wouldn't be surprised about that.
I think Allen was very high on him.
He was.
Yeah.
And he knows what he can do. We've seen what he can do.
Yeah.
And he has a talent. He needs playing time at a good level to show it.
Yeah.
And FC Cincinnati would give him that.
And then
but let's hope he ends up somewhere good. He might go to Europe, of course.
And he could be in MLS by time because Cincinnati, if they get one of the expansion deals, maybe they bring him up with them.
Yeah.
So it's very possible.
I have to reach out to his dad and see what the latest is on that. The month ended though on a high, July 29th.
Something this was more impressive than LA. Well, by the end of the year, it might not have been as impressive.
No, but at the time it seemed like one of the
huge
results of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
4-0 trouncing in Dallas,
and it wasn't
the Whitecaps that were trounced.
And they weren't. It wasn't their strongest team either.
That's the thing. It's like a weakened team secured not just the first point, but the first 3 points, first win in Dallas, but never had a point there before.
Yeah.
Bernie Abini got things off to a great start with his only MLS goal for the Caps in the 18th minute.
From distance too.
Yeah. Second half brace from Freddie Montero. And then Nico's bicycle kick.
Yeah.
That was one of my goals of the season, but it was fumbled by the keeper.
Yeah.
I mean, we were in dreamland by that point, and you're wondering, whoa, what on earth is happening? This is our second string here.
Yeah, for sure. Except for the striker, like you said. Montero was the top guy, but everybody else, like you said, Abini, Mosquita, there were quite a few guys that were not regulars for the first team.
Final word on the month of July, we'll give that to the under-16s, who made it all the way to the USSDA Final Four for the first time. Ran out of a bit of steam in the semis, ended up finishing fourth overall, but a great season for them. Most of those guys have moved up now to what is it, under-19s. So
some are still with the 17s, I think.
Yeah,
because it's U19 and U17.
Yeah,
I think
so
now,
they have changed it now. But it was a great run, and looking forward to seeing these guys develop. Where, of course, they go now, who knows after that.
Exactly.
But that was the month of July. And we'll be back with the month of August in our next part as well, actually, I think it's going to be. But for now, it's time for Wavelength, my favourite part of the show. And we are continuing Football Violence Awareness Month. I'm wearing the T-shirt this week for it.
I think you tweeted that out.
Yeah, I haven't tweeted that out yet, but we will do. And this is actually the T-shirt for the band for the song that we're going to play. Now, last week, I played an English band, The Oppressed, with their song, Football Violence. So I decided to kind of, I thought I'd mix it up a little bit. Instead of playing a song by an English band called Football Violence, we're going to play a song by a Scottish band called Skin Deep. Their only 7-inch single that was released. This is from vinyl, so the quality is not fantastic. And this is also called Football Violence.
We all get pissed and go to the man because we might insist. Violence,
Hey, it's Stefan Runovic, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
So we mentioned that we're going to have a darts theme for this episode to tie in with the 2018 PDC World Professional Darts Championships that's going on just now. As I said, I'm glued to the screens. I'm sure you all are too. I know a lot of folk here don't understand why we love darts so much in the UK. It draws crowds to like 10,000 folk.
I think it's an excuse to get drunk and just yell.
But yeah, that is a big part of it,
and
obviously.
Dress in costumes.
Yeah, the costumes are, like, you can't have it without the costumes. And I know it's shown on Sportsnet and folk watch it and they're like, what?
But that's usually a year later, right?
Yeah, it's way out of date. Yeah. But Christmas would not be Christmas without the darts. So we threw out on Twitter to try and get some dart nicknames for some of the Whitecaps players, and we had a really good response. So Sailor C86, he went with Brian the Throw Rowe, Marcel Ding Dong Dion, Kendall the Waster Waston. I don't know that the Waster is a good
I think
nickname
he
lays
waste to opponents.
Ah, okay. So
especially
it's
in
not
the,
that it's not that
clearances and everything.
Not that he is a waster then. Okay, that's okay. Rich Baldry at R Baldry said Matthias Lobber Laba. Barry the Whining Scotsman Robson. That's instead of Gary the Flying Scotsman Anderson. Freddie the Finnish Montero. I like that one. Tony Double Top Channy. And this is a really good one. Breck Fast Shea. Because that works
that's a
on a number of different levels, so that's good. Greg Petrie at Our Dumb World said, the Whitecaps desperately need a 10, so we know that they'll go for double fives. To put that in football talk, we need a top quality number 10, but we'll save some money and go for some half-price options instead. Minor Campos at Prof. E. Campos, he says Russell Lucky Tybert, I guess because he's lucky that he's got another
contract.
MLS deal. Yeah.
That's what I'm assuming.
He says Darren the Carrier Mattix, because he carried the team on his back. And he went for Clint the Ripping Dempsey. Now, I actually think the Ripper would be better. Clint the Ripper Dempsey, just for ripping up the referee notebooks. Stefan Eriksson at the PNG, the Penguin basically, says, Siggy, where's my pie Schmidt? There is a dart player.
Oh, Siggy Gobble Gobble Schmidt.
Gobble Gobble, yeah. Or just the Gobbler.
The Gobbler, yeah.
There is actually a dart player who's called the Pie Man because he's really fat because he eats a lot of pies. There's also a guy, the Muffin Man, and he comes in, and when he comes in his walk-in, he throws muffins to the crowd. So we get them on side. Jonathan Tannenwald, friend of the show out in Philadelphia, says that the Whitecaps should be 180 because that's how many minutes they are without a goal in the playoffs.
Low blow.
Harsh but fair. Can't really disagree with that.
Well, they scored 5 in the first game.
Yeah, so if you've any more Whitecaps players darting nicknames, send them along. But now, it's time to play a little bit of Bullseye. And here's your host, Michael McCall. Because we couldn't afford to fly Jim Bowen over for it.
No, I'm assuming he wouldn't. The flight alone would be horrible.
Yes, he's an old man now as well. Now, as usual, we play a lot of games on this show that no one has any idea of what we're playing. When I did tweet out today that we're going to play Bullseye, there was some genuine excitement from a few people.
I think they just want to see Zach play, and I think that might take away the excitement now.
Well, playing darts on the radio is always good.
Okay. I know. I'll buy it.
So we'll tweet out pictures of this. But if we're doing the trivia thing like we had done last week, we're going to have build in that we're going to play some darts for extra bonus points and stuff, and we're going to throw for our categories.
Yeah, that would have been ideal.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. So I was going to video that. Yeah. So I didn't bring the camera because I thought we're not going to play it. Yeah. But I did decide to bring the game because there's a few folks seemed a bit disappointed we weren't going to play it. Yeah. So we're going to play just a little bit of Bullseye, just a little bit of trivia, just to round this part off. So Steve, I'll get you to get up and leave your place behind the mic here.
Sure, I will get up.
So I'll explain what we're going to do. Now, first of all, we're going to see who's going to control the board. So we're going to throw 3 darts each at a traditional dartboard. Now, I should mention that these are magnetic darts, but instead we're going to go with this. So we're going to throw 3 darts at the magnetic board. Whoever scores the highest gets to control the board. With it magnetic, it's a little bit different. Whatever it is mostly in is what we're going to count at. So
I don't even know if I'm going to hit the board.
So let's see what you can get first, Steve.
Okay, here we go. First shot.
First
I'm
dart.
going for triple 20. Oh, 8.
8.
Oh, missed.
Missed the board.
I got L.
And a 3. So that gives Steve a score of 11.
Now, do I get to yell out 180 if you hit it?
Only if I hit 180.
Yeah.
It's probably unlikely, but let's see how we get on. Now, obviously, it's a little bit of an advantage to me because I have played darts for years.
I played ages ago. Like, I think it was in grade 9, 10 when the last time I played, maybe.
It was a couple of years ago. I think it was probably 2014 when we did our year-end chat with Robbo.
Yeah.
And I was going to gift the players a dartboard, and he said, no, we've already got one.
Oh.
Because he's a big darts fan.
Yeah.
And then he said, tell you what, though, in the new year, in pre-season, we'll have a game of darts and the loser buys dinner.
Yeah.
Still never had that game of darts. So if Robbo's listening to this, or if Nathan's listening to this, have a word with Robbo, because I still want my darts match with him. So let's see if I can beat 8.
I think you can.
I have actually played darts on Sky Sports.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other story.
It's a different way, too, to this darts.
Well, yeah, because these are magnetic.
You're a little bit closer to the board than I was.
Okay, I'll go further back.
There, that's about right. So first shot, that would be a 4. That would be 11, so you've already beaten me. And, triple 18.
54, 58, 59, 69. I love a 69 on a Sunday.
I love how the way you bring these games that only you play and you have the full advantage of winning them. Essentially, nobody has a chance.
Yes, true. I really just wanted to play the theme song.
I was trying to aim it, but you just whipped them at it. I guess it was much better.
So now we have the board up, and there is 10 different categories. People, places, sport, showbiz, affairs, history, books, words, Britain, and spelling.
So I'm assuming this is going to be English-based.
Yeah, I guess it will be, yeah.
Yeah, so another advantage to you.
But we were going to do it with your trivia. So
yeah, no problem.
I've now been forced to bring the questions that we've got in the pack.
I will graciously lose this game for the enjoyment of others.
So what I'll do is I will pick a category that I want.
Yeah.
I then throw a dart at the board.
And you get points.
And if I hit, say I pick sport. If I land in the yellow, I get 30 points.
Yep.
If I land in the red, I get 50. If I land in the black, 100. And if I get the bullseye, 200. Now, if I miss sport altogether, I don't get bonus points. But whatever category I land in, I get asked that question.
Gotcha.
So
I'll take some of them.
Yeah, you can just have that.
Yeah.
And I'll have these. So I'll go first. We just need 1 dart each for this. So I'm going to try and go for spelling.
Spelling, okay.
And I've missed, so I'm in people. So I don't get any bonus points.
But
I can score 30
okay.
if I get this question right about people.
And your question is, I don't know why. Okay. Which sporting event was Charlotte Brew the first woman to take part in?
I'm going to say the Grand National.
Yes, you're right.
Woo! 30 points.
And I would have had no idea with that question for me.
Do you know what the Grand National is?
No idea.
Okay, your throw.
Okay.
Radio Gold.
So since I aimed for that, I will go sport. I don't have to give an amount, do I?
No.
Just the category. Gotcha.
So if you hit anywhere in that
Yeah, because when I threw it last, my last throw was around there. And it hit sport.
Oh, he hits it. 50-point bonus, so you're already in the lead.
Oh, so I get the 50 points?
Yeah, you get the 50 for hitting that.
Excellent.
So
that's my only chance to aim to throw it.
So this is for 30 again, because first round's 30, second round's 50, third round's 100.
Okay.
This is for pounds.
Yeah.
So I owe you £50 already.
Oh, we'll take it.
So, for 30 more, your question is sport. How many laps are ridden in a speedway race?
Okay, I'm assuming that's a car race.
It's motorbikes.
Motorbikes.
You don't have speedway over here.
Well, we have motorbikes, but I don't think I never heard of
Speedways are fantastic.
I never
sport.
heard them called speedways. So, I will say, because it is difficult to ride it, I'm gonna give it around 50.
4.
Only 4?
Yeah, it's a really short race.
Oh, I didn't. Well, there you go.
Well, you don't know what speedway is, so that doesn't help.
Yeah.
But you're in the lead, 50-30.
Like I said, my only chances are the darts. So your second shot?
Okay, I'm going now. I'm going to go for showbiz.
Oh, you missed the board.
I'll throw again.
Why do you get a mulligan? Sport.
That category's gone, so I don't even get a question because we already had a sport.
Oh, so you don't
Yeah,
even
so I shouldn't have got anything. I shouldn't have thrown again. So now you've got a great chance to extend your lead.
Okay. Oh, so we can't pick the same category.
No, I forgot to mention that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Folk
Okay.
got confused last week with the trivia rules. They're gonna hate this.
Oh, did they get confused last week?
I don't know how. I thought it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah. I
So
should have spoken slower.
What are you going for?
Okay, so I didn't know I could go sport.
You can go a bit closer as well.
No, I was back here. I was back here.
I know, that's how I keep missing. It's too far away.
I will go then. I will go Britain.
Ooh.
Oh, missed the board.
I'll give you a throw since I had a second throw.
Okay. I'll still go for Britain.
Not that helped me.
Damn it. Well, that hit books.
Yeah. So you hit books, so
It
this
slid
is
down.
for 50 points. Your question on books.
No.
Scottish sailor Alexander Selkirk was the inspiration for which Daniel Defoe character?
I have no idea who these people are. Okay. I honestly don't know. Okay, he's a sailor, right? Mm-hmm. The only sailor I know of a book is Moby Dick. So I'm going to say Captain Ahab.
No, Robinson Crusoe.
Oh.
So after round 2, you lead 50-30. So here's the last round in round 1 coming up. I'm going to go for spelling again, since I've never hit that yet.
Oh, you hit it 50.
50 for spelling.
Spelling.
This is for 100.
Oh, this is the third round?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Spell immediately.
IMMEDIATELY.
I think that's right. I missed.
IMMEDIATELY.
Yeah, you're right.
Woo!
So that's the 100 points. So you have 180.
180.
There you go.
So you're on 100.
Yeah.
So the question is for 100. So if you get the question right,
I need to
you're gonna win.
I need to get at least. No, I won't win because I need to get at least 30. Hit the 30 bonus.
Well, no, because you're already on 100, are you not?
Yeah. No, I'm on 50.
Oh.
I didn't get the answer right.
No, you did. Okay.
So I need to hit 30, at least a 30 bonus in somewhere.
Yes.
I'll go.
So remember what categories have gone?
Yeah, I'll go. Showbiz hasn't gone, right?
Not showbiz is still there.
So I'll go showbiz because that was kind of close to sport, and I hit sport. Oh, damn it!
I'll let you throw it.
Because really, it makes no sense if I even.
Okay, you've missed the board, but I'll ask you your showbiz question anyway.
There's no point. I'm not going to win anyway.
I know, but I'll still ask it.
And it'll probably be English showbiz, so it's not going to be a showbiz. I know.
There's somebody out in the UBC area there, just a young girl who's working on her laptop, who must be listening to this that's getting broadcast throughout, thinking, what the hell are they playing in there? Anyway, here's your showbiz question. Which of the Wombles shares his name with a South American river?
South American. Amazon.
Orinoco.
I have no idea.
So at the end of that round, and let's just say the game, because I'm pretty sure anyone listening to this at home is like, please end this. Yeah, I think
I'm in the boat with them because I lost horribly as usual.
Okay then, well, we'll be back with more after this.
Hey, I'm Brett Levi's, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Now, let's get back to some Whitecaps stuff. So we're going to continue our yearly review with a look at the month of August. 36 crazy fists there with the end of August. But we're going to start at the beginning of August. And it was continuing our traditional road trip. We always seem to get a big batch of games that's the end of July, start of August, that are on the road. And it's usually in hot places, places with altitude. We usually end up in Texas. We usually end up in Colorado. So we had the game in Dallas to end July. August 5th took us to Colorado, one of the worst teams in the league. And after the high with our fringe lineup in Dallas, you go into that expecting that you were going to walk all over Colorado. Come away, though, with a 2-2 draw. Getting back to the Whitecaps' great inconsistencies. Tony Chaney got us ahead, though, with a low first timer in the 5th minute. Only for Colorado to come back and then take the lead before Freddie Montero secured a point 14 minutes for time.
Yeah.
The most notable thing, though, about that game was that was the official debut of VAR.
Yeah, it was, and I think there was an incident with VAR in that game.
Well, there was a couple of goals disallowed, but I don't know if VAR was used for them or not.
No, I can't remember now. Yeah, but I actually remember that one being one of the better ref games as well. It was a young guy that I hadn't heard of before, but it's a game where you expected them to do something because they're playing one of the worst teams, but in a way you're going to Colorado, which they've never really had that much success in, except for early in the season. But again, another game where you wish they could have done a little bit more. Obviously, you're kind of happy you got the point, but you kind of want more, and you wanted to get the full 3.
Yeah, I mean, it was a disappointing game, but usually if you go to Colorado and you come away with a point in August, you're happy with it.
It's hot, it's high altitude.
It just felt such a low, though, after that Dallas game. But after that, there was...
a couple of transactions.
Yeah. Centre-back was particularly busy. Out went Christian Dean, heading off to Chicago. Great move for him, in theory. Obviously, he injured himself
work out
again.
well, no.
But, I mean, it was a great club for him to go to. They played on grass. You had high hopes that he was going to do well. But then he injures his foot again. Yeah. And he's out. And you have to worry about his future.
At this point, you do. Because it just keeps happening way too often. And it's a really shame because he's a great guy. And you're hoping that maybe this is the last time it happens and maybe he can turn it around.
Yeah, I mean, you're always hoping for that, but I think by the time it gets to this stage for him, you've just got to worry about his future. But all the best to Christian. He moved on. Aaron Mond came in.
Yeah.
And
mixed results.
Yeah, had high hopes for him. But yeah, mixed is a nice way of putting it.
Yeah. He had a decent game and
he had
a horrible
first game and then he had a horrible second game.
And we'll talk about that later.
We don't really know what we're going to get from him, but came in from RSL. He'd been an RSL player of the year. He's obviously a good talent in the league. I wasn't sure that they would hold on to him, but they have. So right now he is the third centre-back behind Parker and Waston.
Yeah, but he's a cheap release if they ever need to.
Yeah.
I think he's an emergency.
Trade him as well.
He's an emergency thing where if they don't get the centre backs they want, maybe David Edgar doesn't come back, that they need somebody in that spot.
Well, they are still in talks with Edgar, and I feel that they should bring Edgar back for locker room presence.
And by the time he gets his, he might take him a little while to get going and everything. By the time that happens, that's when Waston's going to go to the World Cup. Yeah. So you need that veteran presence on the back line.
We need capable centre backs for when Waston's away. At least we don't have to worry about Timmy Parker going with the States.
Yeah, and you don't. And the thing is, you don't. Andrew Jacobson's still a free agent. He had to fill in quite a few times this year, and you don't want to force him into that position again. Although I'm sure you appreciate the playing time, but you'd rather play as a midfielder instead of a centre back. He was
excellent, though. Yeah, I really liked him as a centre back.
He had. There were a couple goals here and there where it felt like he was playing it like a midfielder instead of playing it like a centre back. So
he maybe doesn't have a lot of great mobility, but then so many centre backs don't.
Yeah.
So that was the centre backs in and out, and then the other big arrival, which spawned our Egyptian themed show, which was one of my favourites of the year. I loved that. Ali Ghazal, Ali the Pharaoh Ghazal, as we've now given him his darting nickname. He arrived, and what a great addition. Love the guy.
No,
Ali G. Booyakasha.
Yeah, and he's the guy that, I've said it before, I'm not a big fan of Matthias Laba in that role. as being the holding mid in front of the center backs, because he can wander. Obviously, he's making tackles, but he can also expose the center backs. Ali Ghazal sits in the spot. He makes his tackles here and there. Like, he made a couple of big tackles going down in the stretch of the season, but he sits there. He protects the center backs from any kind of midfielders coming up. He can pick them up. He actually can play center back if they need him to. It's his like secondary position. So I think he's a welcome addition, and I think he'll really help with the defensive responsibilities going next year.
I mean, it's pretty certain that Gazal's going to be a regular starter.
Yeah.
It's who's going to be with him. Will there be someone with him? Are the Whitecaps going to go for Robbo's traditional 4-2-3-1? We looked at this a bit last week.
Or he could go 4-1-3-2.
Yeah,
or because you have
4-1-4-1, which worked so well last year.
Because you have confidence in, and also because they're bringing so many strikers, you're thinking maybe they play 2 strikers up top. But the fact that he can play in that spot by himself and not have...
Well, that's what I like about him. You can trust him as that sole guy to be that one if they do go for a 4-1. And great addition. You can see the talent he's got. It's just a shame... In some ways, it's not because the Whitecaps won't lose him, but it's a shame that it's kind of fallen out with the Egyptian national team setup, because it'd be great to see him over at the World Cup in Russia with Egypt, but that isn't going to happen. Egypt's loss is obviously the Whitecaps' gain. The next game for us was August 12th. 1-0 loss at New England in one of the more dreadful games of the season.
It wasn't fun, no. No,
that was dire. It was the last of our 3-game road thing, and... we lost to a 53rd minute goal from the traitor. That's definitely his darting nickname, Teal Burnbury. Teal the traitor Burnbury.
Yeah, but I think that decision has come to haunt him, because he's not going to ever play for US again, and he could have...
He could have been a Canadian international.
I'm not saying he would have been a star with Canada, but he definitely would have helped. And whether he's playing on the wing or he's playing down the middle and up top... I think he would have helped. At this point, I don't know how much he would have helped even with Canada, because you got Kyle Aaron, who has scored more goals in MLS. I think he might have scored more goals in MLS than Teal Bunbury at this point, because Teal, while he scored a few goals, he never has scored a big quantity of goals. I'll probably be proven wrong on that, but it seems like Kyle has scored more in his short amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, Bunbury is a good striker.
Decent striker.
He was a good striker.
He was a good striker.
He's probably lost a bit now. The Caps nearly secured a point. The bug, Christian Teixeira, crashed a fantastic free kick off the bar with 20 minutes to go.
They hit the bar a lot this year. Yeah. I don't remember other years where they hit the bar that much.
Yeah. Our set-piece play was fantastic, so just imagine how much more fantastic it would have been if we hadn't hit the bar so much.
Yeah.
It was a game to forget in a lot of ways, but the biggest story coming out of it was Matty Laba, ACL tear in his knee, out till maybe April, May-ish next year. His last game as a Whitecap,
possibly,
by the looks of it.
Yeah.
And
it also...
Big blow.
Big blow. Like I said, I haven't been a fan of his, but I think he still has quality, just in a different role. I think if he played if once Ghazal got up to snuff, that if he played in front of Ghazal, then I think he would have been a better option for this. I think he would have been a better option in front of Ghazal instead of being behind, like how he played with Chani when Chani first came over. So I think that was harsh, and also it hurts the Whitecaps too, because there was a team in Argentina that was interested in Laba, and might have been, and Laba thanked them too. I think they could have got some kind of transfer fee out of that if he was healthy.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if no one signs him until his injury's cleared up, and then the Whitecaps possibly re-sign him once his injury's cleared up if they feel that they need him, depending on how the season's gone. Because that could be an option as well.
Yeah, they could sign him.
It's a way for them to get a cheaper Laba, even just for a couple of months or to the end of the season, and saving all this money just now. So let's not rule out yet that's the last that we've seen of Matty Laba in a Whitecaps jersey. I wouldn't be too sad though if we don't see him again, because he was really up and down for me. When he was great, but When he was on form, he was great. But he was so inconsistent, and we went on so many times about how much it annoyed us when he tracked back.
Like, yeah,
he didn't track back.
He would, like, I don't want to speak ill will of him because he was injured, and it was bad for him that he missed half the season. But he would jump forward and attack, and maybe 7 out of 10 times, 6 out of 10 times, he would get the tackle. But those 4 times he would miss that tackle, it felt like it took ages for him to track back and get. And
we started watching him, and he would just saunter back.
Yeah, but that was his running style, I think.
Yeah. The other thing is, like, here's a question for you: do you feel the Caps were worse after his injury, or did you not even notice that he was missing from the team?
Well, with Ghazal and where he played, and because at that point they had to put Chani back in the lineup, I don't think they missed him. I don't think it was the worst injury. I think a guy like Freddie Montero, if he got injured, or Yordi Reyna got injured, or Kendall Waston got injured, I think that would have hurt more out of their core players. So I think that's one of the players. Yeah, if he got injured because they had Ghazal, even if Ghazal hadn't shown up, I think with Chani and Jacobson, I think they could have still worked around it. And it's still been effective. Yeah,
but he was out after that game. The Cats bounced back, though, from that loss with a 2-1 win at home to Houston. Freddie and Reyna had the Caps 2-1 up at half-time. Goals pulled back by Houston in the second half. But that was really the start of Montero and Reyna clicking together. And they were a great partnership. I really liked what they did, what they brought, and they could have been so much more next season if they were both here. Who knows that neither of them might be here, but yeah, I mean, they just looked so good together. Then, August 23rd, a game which you thought could be maybe decisive in the season. Another Cascadian derby, 1-1 draw at home with Seattle. Lodero, 19th minute penalty, had Seattle in the lead. Then Chani gets sent off on the hour mark, and you're thinking, crap, that's it all over. 1-0 down a man. But then 4 minutes later, after some great work by Alphonso Davies, sets up Freddie Montero, another goal against his old team, 1-1, stole a point. You're on a high because it's like, that was a fantastic comeback to get a point from Seattle.
And that's like one of the few flashes, though, that Alfonso showed. Like you said, a great play by him.
His first MLS point as well.
Yeah, so that was like that's you saw what you can get out of him in those positions, but unfortunately it was far and between. But Seattle game, you felt like they could have got more out of that too, because of the fact that they were coming off. Yeah, the New England loss was earlier, but that the Houston game, it was 2-1, but it was I thought a dominating performance. I think they really took it to Houston in that game.
Yeah, definitely. But then the month ended with another win.
Surprise. Yeah. Well, not surprise because they seem to always win in Orlando.
Well, yeah, but it was another weaker Whitecaps team.
Exactly. Just like Dallas. Yeah, just like Dallas.
Like, you end July with a weak team going to Dallas and winning. You end August with a weak team going to Orlando winning. An own goal had the Cats in the lead at half-time. Then Breck Shea came back to haunt his old club before Kyle Larn pulled one back.
Didn't fall over, scored the goal.
Was on the right side.
Yeah.
Robbo has been interested in Kyle Larn. He was a player that he feels he could bring the best out of in Vancouver. Larn seems to want to go over to Europe, so I don't know what's happening there. I don't think
Vancouver is farther than Europe than Orlando.
I don't think he's coming to Vancouver now with the signings of Blundell and Kamara, but he was a player that Robbo was interested in.
Well, I remember in an earlier podcast before that draft, I think we discussed Larn, and I said, you deal Maddox, you deal your first rounder, I say send a whole bunch of allocation money for Larn because he's a Canadian player and he's shown that I think he had a better college career than Maddox, and I thought he had a better pro potential than Maddox at that time too.
Yeah, but I mean that win, fantastic, another win in Orlando. It should have set us up fantastically for September, and then a big run into the postseason. Of course, things didn't work out that way.
Flash 5. Rank it, baby.
Yes, everybody out there, it's time for Flash 5. And this year, oh boy, I'm forgetting what year this was.
2016.
Thank you very much. It's a 2016 year. We're counting down. We started with the 2017 year. We've done top 5 for every year. And then 2016 this year, we got one more year, and then we're going to do a all-time top 5. So, no honorable mentions. So we're going to go right to number 5. This happened on June 25th. They were in Philadelphia. 3-2 win. It was Kekuta Mane. Basically, one of his goals, he took the ball from the half. Basically, this is a goal that went from one box to the basically the other box, outside box, and he basically took the ball at the half, just raced past a Philadelphia Union defender, cut inside, and then scored back towards the post he just passed. So it was a fantastic goal. Showed his speed, and the best part of that the highlight was the mispronunciation of Mane's name. And this is a professional, and I think he was calling him Mena or something like that. So it was completely way off. Number 4, against RSL, July 13th, Christian Chichera. It was the second Fraser free kick. I think Bolaños had the initial free kick. It kind of got bounced around. Came about the 35-yard mark. But Chichera just basically took it one time, fired it laser into the top corner. Great goal. Number 3, Kekuta Mane, his second appearance on here. May 14th, against TFC. This is the game, Michael, you'll probably remember, was the 4-3 game. Just back and forth. They went up 2-up. It was 2-2 tie.
Another fantastic game.
Yeah, and so in this one, it was the 70th minute. This is the one they scored to go up after TFC came back from 2-2. They went up 3-2. Vancouver did. Retook the lead. Basically, cuts across the top of the box, stops almost in a dead stop. Beitashour basically blows a tire and just falls to the ground because he's thinking, man, he's going to keep going across the thing. And when he stops, he just falls, moves into the box, fires it past the keeper, and eventually, like I said, it ended up being a 4-3 game. Number 2, early in the season, April 21st, Christian Bolaños. I think it was his first goal as a Whitecap. 1-0 win over Sporting. This was off a corner. Corner comes into the box. Christian Bolaños essentially kind of flicks it with his back heel off a corner, and it basically went top corner. So a really spectacular goal there. But the number 1 goal, it's hard to fight this one. This was May 11th. They were hosting Chicago Fire. This is the game actually that Kudo took I think it was an elbow or something to the head by the Chicago keeper. Very scary situation. But later on in the game, I think it was 88th minute or something, Blas Perez. The ball kind of gets, I think Kekuta Mane tries to shoot on the net. Ball gets knocked by the defender, goes up in the air. And Blas Perez basically, perfect bicycle kick into the side, basically right by the post, and puts up Chicago 2-1. Crowd goes crazy. Blas Perez doesn't realize what he done until he got up.
Oh, the look in his face was
shocked. It was like everybody was shocked at what happened. So it was a fantastic goal when it started very scary earlier in the night.
Yeah, I mean, that was our AFTN goal of the season. Yeah. And it's one of my favourites. It's
just for the way the reaction was and everything.
I was going to say it's kind of up there with Eric Hasley's, but it's probably not. But it was I love a bicycle kick. Yeah. And that was just an amazing
And this was done at home. I would put it similar to what Camilo did against Portland 2012 when he did that scorpion sidekick.
Well, of course, we're going to be having all the winners ranked as well in a future Flash 5. But yeah, I loved that goal. That was fantastic. Yeah, definitely some great stuff. So that was the Flash 5 there, and our review for the month of August. And we'll be back after this.
Hey, it's Marco Bustos. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Our regular section on food and takeout food has proved very popular. So we're returning to a Scottish favourite of ours, Gordon Forrest. if you've listened to some of our other segments with Gordon, you'll know he's a bit picky.
Yeah, exactly.
Asking questions about fish and chips, he doesn't eat seafood. Asking questions about tea and biscuits, he doesn't drink hot drinks.
I don't think he has ice cream either, if I'm not mistaken.
He did have ice cream,
he did.
but we haven't played that yet.
Okay. Spoiler alert.
But he does like takeout food. So now it's time for Gordon Forrest to take me out.
Take me out!
It's been a busy day. You don't fancy doing any cooking. You don't fancy your wife doing any cooking, so you're going to get some takeout food. What would be your kind of takeout cuisine of choice?
I have a real nice place close to us in White Rock where I pick up some baked spaghetti. So spaghetti bolognese type of dish that me and the wife do as a takeaway of her choice.
That's great. Thank you so much, Gordon.
Shop, I went to the chip shop, went to the burger shop, did it all around stop, hey, hey, I want a Johnny takeaway, hey, hey, woo, 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 hey, hey, I want a Johnny takeaway, hey, hey, woo, woo, woo.
Gordon Forrest there, liking a little bit of Italian and spaggy ball. I don't think of that really as a takeout food, I have to say.
No, yeah, it's well, he doesn't like biscuits. He doesn't like hot drinks.
Doesn't like fish and chips.
So you got to expect the unexpected with him.
That's true. Anyway, now it's time for BC Soccer Web headlines. BC Soccer Web headlines is brought to you in partnership with bcsoccerweb.com. Your one-stop site for local, national and international news and links. Make it a part of your everyday routine, morning and night. Check out bcsoccerweb.com. What's been catching your eye on the site this week, Steve?
Well, it's been kind of a busy week. We talked about before, Welsh soccer had faces action for ruling out English coach. And so he's going to be investigated whether that was discriminatory or not. AFC Wimbledon given permission to build a new ground at Plough Lane. Now, I include this because of your connection with them. Yeah,
I mean, it had already kind of been, given the green light, but they got the section formal form that they needed through. So the plan is going ahead. The new stadium's going to be built. The plans look fantastic. They are in a relegation dogfight just now because the problem with being a fan-owned team is you don't have as much money as a lot of the other teams in the division. So they have been struggling a little bit, thumped by Wigan at the weekend. So hopefully they're not going to have this new stadium when they're a lower league team again. But we'll see what happens.
Another another statue fiasco. These people that make these statues, it doesn't seem like they really know what they're doing. Diego Maradona's current statue is getting roasted online. It kind of looks nothing like him, and it looks almost like a cartoon character. So, very hilarious.
There was a good meme or photo doing the rounds of Ronaldo's statue and Maradona statue together.
Ronaldo's is worse, for sure. This one wasn't that great either.
I like when they get commissioned. What on earth?
Get a sample.
Yeah.
Get them to make a smaller version.
When it gets shown to them, I'd love to see their faces when it gets unveiled. It's like, this is what I came up with.
Yeah.
Sorry, who's that?
The Socceroos obviously looking for a coach. One rumored, and actually it's not even rumored, he said he's interested. Scolari, the former Spanish coach, says he's interested in taking on the job, at least for the World Cup.
Well, the fact that they're going to the World Cup is going to attract some good coaching candidates. So they've got that big advantage.
Even if it's a short-term thing. It's good exposure for whoever coaches them. Talking about Football Violence Month, Serbia, 26 people arrested after massive soccer fan brawl. It was Red Star and Partizan in Belgrade.
Yes. My complex manager is a massive Red Star Belgrade fan. He's from Serbia, and we chat about stuff all the time. So I need to catch up with him next week and see what he says about that.
Yeah, and it's the thing is, this Serbia, I think, has qualified for the World Cup. So
yeah, they have.
A lot of these guys are going to be probably going over to Russia as well. So.
Yeah, together as well. That's the thing. But they always put their animosity aside when they're doing stuff.
That was odd. Our door closed.
Our door closed and switched our light off in the studio at the
Yeah.
same time. Someone doesn't like football violence when it's Zach sending his vibes to the studio.
A couple of stories from U.S. soccer. First of all, for the NASL, I don't know if this has been updated. It was going to happen Friday, but 3 judges are going to hear the arguments that could decide NASL's fate. This is kind of the U.S. Court of Appeals, and this is almost NASL's last chance.
Yeah,
I don't see anything.
Hasn't had a final answer yet.
Sometimes it takes weeks for them to decide. I don't think anything's going to come of it because what they have to do is they have to prove not the case itself, but something went wrong with the case and how it was decided, and that's very hard to do in this case.
Yeah, you want them to succeed, but I just cannot see any way that this is going to work. Then you have to wonder what's going to happen to these clubs that were meant to be part of it next year.
True, so true. The U.S. Soccer Federation has got 8 nominations. They include former U.S. national team player Paul Klugery, the Soccer United marketing president Kathy Carter, the USSF vice president Carlos Cordero, Boston-based attorney Steve Gantz, Paul Lapointe, the United Premier Soccer League regional director, former MLS player and follower of mine on Twitter, Kyle Martino. He's got my vote. Former women's national team star Hope Solo.
Hey, we want hope. We want hope.
Lawyer and former professional player Michael Winograd, and former national standout and TV analyst Eric Winalda. Those are the 8 guys.
I think he'd be interesting.
Yeah, he wasn't he the coach of the team, that lower league team that made it all the way
well
up?
in the US Open Cup. Yeah, I forget their name, but yeah. I like Eric Winalda, and he gets a bit of stick online, but I like the guy. Yeah. I'd be happy if it was him or Kyle Martino.
Yeah, and with this news, they also announced that they're gonna revamp the president's role. They're actually gonna put a general manager position in there, so it'll be interesting to see what this new person's gonna be in charge of.
Yeah, you should send Kyle a DM. Say you're interested.
Yeah, maybe
send him a DM, get him on the show.
Maybe one of these guys will be. Like instead of being the president, they'll be the GM. So they kind of there's 2 of these guys or something like that.
I'm still rooting for hope.
Okay. MLS news. We talked to a couple of them. The Impact story with Simon, Atlanta story with Darlington Nagby, USL Austin franchise, which was going to happen. It's kind of hitting a make or break point as the MLS talks are delayed. Essentially, I think this was going to be a team that they were going to put in so that they can kind of work their way up the way Cincinnati is in the league and Nashville. So they can but it's kind of at a delay point right now. And the city council has kind of put off the discussion and regarding the MLS move. So it's kind of put a question marks about the USL franchise as well. So it'd be interesting to see how that works.
Yeah.
Everything's a fluid situation at this point. So that's maybe a glimmer of hope for Columbus.
North American soccer is just like in such a mess in a lot of ways just now.
FIFA news. A lot of news here.
Talking of things that's always in a mess.
A lot of stuff going on. There's proof that there are links with the FIFA ethics box with other people in the television market. Because it was basically closing arguments in the case itself. The prosecutors outlined $11+ million in bribes, but the defendants, but the attorneys for the defendants, they were asking for the paper trail, and essentially the defendants' whole case is that they're just having a witch hunt and they're just saying everybody's corrupt, but FIFA has suspended Brazilian soccer president Marco Polo del Nero, and so it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes down. Obviously, like I said, the closing arguments that happened this year. Who knows how long the judge could take to decide this?
You want it to have a good resolution.
Yeah,
and from little bits that's come out, it's hard to say that it won't be a good resolution. But will it matter? Will anything?
Will it affect
really
anything at the top?
FIFA?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
All they're doing is just brushing away some of the old people and then bringing in some new people. Will they be effective change at all? One thing FIFA did do is they banned Colombian midfielder Cardona for 5 games for the inappropriate gesture against, I think it was South Korea. that he was kind of making like kind of squinting his eyes or kind of using his fingers,
slanty eye gesture, yeah.
And his comment after basically to apologize was he didn't mean to disrespect anyone, a country or a race, but if anyone felt offended or interpreted it in that way, I am sorry. So basically he's it's a non-apology apology where he's basically saying, oh, if you're offended, I'm sorry, but it wasn't meant to be that. Well, how do you expect it to be meant? I
know. There's only one way you can take it. It's baffling. There's no other way you could take it. At least he didn't go for I had something in my eye, or the sun was like hitting me and I was just trying to squint to see. That'd have been worse. Yeah. But this isn't much better.
Yeah. Some news in Canada. You talked about earlier about how Alphonso Davies won U17 Player of the Year. Obviously, there was Jordan Hatema too, as well. Won the girls' side, the women's side, U17. And then for U20s, it was Jesse Fleming, and it was Chris Twardek, who is actually, he switched over. He used to be a Czech player. He was playing for the Czech youth leagues. He switched over recently back to Canada. He's born in Canada.
Because I'll be honest, I'd never heard of him.
Yeah, and I think he plays for Millwall in the UK. So he hasn't had that many games, but
when I saw the name in the email, I was like, who?
Yeah, I didn't know either. I had to look him up, and I saw that he was switched over. So obviously, U20 and U17 are voted mostly, I think, a majority by the coaches. Yeah, so it's more than what they see.
Media only get a vote in the men and the women.
And that's Senior. Where we're going to go next. Atiba Hutchinson won his 6th Men's Player of the Year. I voted for him.
I did as well.
My votes were Atiba, Scott Arfield, and I gave Alphonso Davies the 3rd place vote. Because of his performance at the Gold Cup.
I had Atiba number 1, Milan number 2, and I had Scotty Arfield as number 3.
Milan would have been a good vote. I thought I'd give Alfonso a vote here, 3rd place.
I thought I'd give Scotty a vote because he's Scottish.
Well, I gave him 2nd place.
Yes, that's good.
So I voted him higher. Kadisha Buchanan won the women's, her 2nd. Basically, it's the 2nd time she's won, so she's kind of not. It's not like she's upsetting Christine Sinclair because she's won it before. Yeah. She actually was part of Olympic Lyon's team, who won the treble for the women.
As is Alex Morgan, who was just voted tonight CONCACAF Women Player of the Year.
Yeah. Well, I think I can't remember who I voted for the CONCACAF Women's Player. I didn't even vote. I think it's Christine Sinclair. But I voted Kadisha. I think I voted Christine Sinclair. I can't remember who I voted 3rd though.
I had Sinclair as number 1.
Yeah,
because I didn't know that about Buchanan. I think I had.
You got to do more research.
I know. I think I had Jesse Fleming as number 2.
I think maybe
and
Fleming
Jordan Huitema as number 3.
I think Fleming was my number 3, if I'm not mistaken. But I can't remember. I honestly can't remember that one. And then finally, a couple of stories here. Zambrano says there's going to be major changes.
Yeah,
for Canada, and it was reported by Steve Sandor. And I think what he's talking about is it's going to be an advancement of what he started because he didn't want to make too many changes, but he wants to increase the talent pool, and that tells me that he's going to really recruit players and bring up a lot of young players into the first team for the national squad.
This is the time to do it.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
It's a couple of years till the next campaign starts. Get these guys minutes now with a new league format that's coming up for friendlies. Just go young. It's the only way the game's going to grow. And maybe it's a long-term plan. Maybe they're looking towards 2026 more than even 2022.
And also he's going to increase his scouting within Canada. So in the past, usually there was 3 scouts spread across the country. Now those 3 scouts are going to be considered, like as Steve Sanders says, super scouts, and he's going to have scouts below them reporting to them. So it's going to be more eyes on the players that are coming on. And I think you have to do that in a country like this to kind of get more eyes, because you get players that are on, like, say, for example, the Whitecaps residency, but there are players that are, that Whitecaps might have missed.
Totally, yeah.
And it's possible. So And he's saying that we need 50 players, we need 100 players, we need more players. That was his quote. We just need more players to kind of bring everybody up. So like before, I think Robbo said it before during the midseason, he needs more competition. Competition breeds better players because players want to play better. So, like I said, I think he's going to be bringing more junior players into the first national team. And I think there's going to be a number of changes. So I recommend reading that article for sure. And last article from CTV, Canada's part of the United 2026 bid is much about the 8-year runway. So basically what they're saying is that it's kind of like the 8-year kind of a path to that 2026 World Cup so they can develop the players and be competitive. They obviously haven't want to qualify for the 2022 World Cup, but this is really to make so they can kind of put a stamp on their federation for 2026 because they're going to qualify automatically. It should be, especially with so many teams being in that one.
So I mean they're definitely back in it. First time for 40 years, and they want to have a good account of themselves. There's going to be nothing more embarrassing than being the host country and then not only just going out at the first phase, but going out limply as well. So you want to win games. So like I just said for the last piece, it's like all about building up to that 2026. It might mean writing off the 2022 campaign in a way, just so that you can get these guys ready. And I think that's a good thing. But that is BC Soccer Web headlines for this week. Check out the site bcsoccerweb.com. As we said, your one-stop site for local, national and international news and links. Been very happy to partner with bcsoccerweb.com this year. Looking forward to more in 2018. This, though, is not our last podcast of 2017. We have 2 more to come. We've got one on New Year's Eve, but that's just going to be a kind of best-of interview special. But next Sunday, put this in your calendar.
Weather permitting.
It's going to be nice. There's no snow by the looks of it. So we're going to be
anything
here.
is possible. It could change.
But we're going to have our special Christmas Eve extravaganza. We are taking over the airwaves of CITR radio from 9 o'clock on Christmas Eve night all the way through to after midnight.
Yep.
We've got a lot of fun in store. We're going to play some Christmas-themed games.
Yeah.
We're going to be tracking Santa. We'll be letting you know where he arrives, when he's going to be coming to Vancouver and elsewhere in the Lower Mainland. We're going to have some Whitecaps players talking about what Christmas is like in their household. We're going to have some Whitecaps players picking their favourite Christmas songs as well. Yeah. Not carols, but actual proper music by bands.
Pop music,
Pop
rock.
music, rock, even country, maybe a little bit of that thrown in. So some of the Whitecaps players are picking that. We're also going to play some of my favourite Christmas music. We're going to have some of our Wavelength favourites, Sultans of Ping, Half Man, Half Biscuit, I Ludacris, Goldie Luke and Chain, lots of these guys coming up.
And some good music too. That's not like...
We'll have
Sarah
Jickling that does our theme song. We're going to play some Christmas stuff from her. We'll get our host as well.
I'll be picking some of my favourite songs, yeah.
What we're looking to do, we're going to do it in 2 parts. Where the first part is just going to be all Christmas music. So we're going to do that from 9, maybe to 10 to 10:30. We'll see how things go.
It's basically when I show up.
Yeah. And then after that, we'll have some of the more Whitecaps related stuff.
Because my kids, when they found out I was coming here on Christmas Eve, they were kind of disappointed. So I said, okay.
Bring them along.
I don't want to bring them along.
Well, Zach's not going to be here.
No, they should be in bed before 12, before Santa shows up.
True.
So they have to be in bed.
What better way to spend Christmas Eve than with us?
Yeah.
So tune into that from 9 o'clock next Sunday. And that is it for this episode of the show. I've been Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Read our stuff on aftn.ca. Follow us on Instagram at AFTN Soccer.
And I'm Steve Pander. You can follow me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
And we'll be back next week with our Christmas Eve extravaganza. Until then, thanks for listening. Take care. And mon the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.